All right, everyone, let me introduce you to our speaker. I think most of you already know who Jai Narayan is. But for those who don't, he is that man standing there, a very dynamic individual who has got a very dynamic title for his talk, putting passion and power into persuasion. Who is Jai? Well, he's like all of us, a Toastmaster. So I don't have to say anything more. If you know yourself, you know Jai. Ooh, we've got more people.
Thank you, Cyril.
Right? So everyone, open up your ears, look forward, and we start the talk now. Jai, all yours.
Thank you very much, Cyril. Wow. When I arrived at this hotel yesterday, the first person I met at the reception desk was not the receptionist. It happened to be Dunstan Chan, who was there, and being the warm personality that he is, he gave me a hug and said, "Oh, welcome to the conference, Jai. I believe you are speaking tomorrow." I said, "Uh-huh." And then he said, "What time is your speaking slot?" And I said, "I believe it is 1:40, Dunstan, after lunch." And then he said, "Uh-oh, that's the graveyard shift, my friend. No speaker wants that post-lunch session." Now, while part of me understands where he's coming from, I would like all of us to debunk that myth and make some 24-karat magic in 45 minutes together. Can we do that? Wow. Now, that is not a Bruno Mars album title, because I just added 45 minutes to that. Yeah. So here's what I thought I would do. What I would do is, first of all, try not to slip into languid, lethargic laziness post-lunch. And before I deep dive into that theme for all of you, I thought what we could do is get to know each other a little better. How about that? All right. So, District 51, apa kabar? Kabar, baik. I understand that we have delegates from outside of District 51 and even outside of Malaysia. So, here's a big shout out to all of you, wherever you are from, and whoever you may be. In fact, I would like all of you to take just a moment to turn to the person beside you, on either side if you're in the middle, and say, "I am so happy to meet you, David." Let's go. If the person next to you was David. If not, find out who that person is, because this could be a platform for you to begin, build, and bond a relationship. And who knows where these two new connections are going to take you in your life. Right? Absolutely. So, a little bit about myself. It is absolutely a pleasure and a delight for me to be back here in Malaysia. In fact, this is a second home for me. I don't mean the hotel. I mean Malaysia, all right? Now, why? Because isteri saya orang Malaysia, tapi saya tak boleh cakap bahasa Melayu. My wife is a Malaysian citizen, however, I do not speak the local Bahasa language. My wife and I communicate in English, but she speaks Malayu or the Bahasa when she wishes to talk about me to her relatives or friends. And if they all laugh, I know it was something funny, it can't be too bad. But if they look at me and go, "Yaka, really?" Then I know I've been evaluated in much longer than 3 minutes, and that is cause for concern. So here I am, and I'm going to be sharing with all of you, of course, my thoughts on how you could incorporate some passion, power, and persuasion into your communication. In fact, not just with your P9 project speeches, not just within this room and within the Toastmaster fraternity, but outside of this forum, in your life, in business, and when you wish to build or bond relationships. You'll find that these tips do come very much in handy. Okay? Now, I put together 5 keywords for all of you. 5 keywords. Incorporating these 5 keywords into your communication is going to make all of you a far more effective speaker. And as you will see towards the end of my session, reimagining these 5 keywords would also be, as leadership essentials, will also come very much in handy when you take on leadership roles. So, are we ready to roll on? Well then, next please. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like all of you to take a moment to look at that image and that message. I am passionate about music of all genres. In fact, music is the key of life. I absolutely love it. Now, my question to all of you is, do you see a disconnect between the message and the image? If yes, I would like you to raise your hands and come to the microphone and tell me what is the disconnect. 5 people from this audience will receive or earn a gift that is very close to my heart if you are interactive. Your names will be taken down, all right? So, what do you see a disconnect between that message and that image? Anybody? Yes, please, your name. Anita, please go. Wow. A big hand, ladies and gentlemen, to the bling girl, Anita. Absolutely. So therefore, Raphael, next please. My first keyword for all of you is, what is your pitch? Passion and power. Ladies and gentlemen, what you show speaks much louder than what you say. In fact, what you show on your face speaks much louder than what you show in the rest of your body. So that is a very, very important, powerful message for all of you. If you are passionate about something, especially when you speak to people and you wish to persuade them, show it. Now, I know that there is an image on that slide. I would like all of you to hold your horses a bit. I'll come to that. Or should I say elephant? Well, in 1755, Scottish philosopher David Hume said in one of his books, you can never hope to change somebody's mind in an argument with reasoning and logic alone. In fact, as human beings, all of us are animals who are driven, influenced, and in fact, very often, we are convinced by our intuition, feelings, sentiments, and, of course, influence. I would like to throw in fact, our life experience too in that. So what Hume goes on to say is that most of our decisions and our choice to agree or disagree is not based on reasoning and logic. It is based on our feelings, our emotions, sentiments, and, of course, our intuitions. Now, 250 odd years after David Hume said that, American psychologist Jonathan Haidt, some of you may be familiar with that name as the author of the book, The Writer's Mind. He wrote in another one of his books, The Happiness Hypothesis, where he used a very powerful metaphor, which I'll share with all of you today. This is absolutely brilliant, one of my favorites. And he compares the human mind to a rider on an elephant. And he says that only 1% of the mind actually functions, or it responds to reasoning and logic. The remaining 99% of our minds actually works on experience, influence, feelings, emotions. In fact, that rider on that elephant thinks he is in control based on his reason, based on his statistics, based on the data, based on all the logic. But ladies and gentlemen, if that elephant wishes to dig its heels in and not move, no amount of logic is going to get it to move. So, the mistake most of us make, as Haidt says, is we address people's riders when we talk to them, when we should be addressing their what? Elephants. So, the first takeaway for all of you, ladies and gentlemen, is when you speak to people, You want to persuade them to do something. Address that elephant. Because that elephant is the feeling, the sentiment, the intuition, etc. And if that elephant likes you, trusts you, believes in you, feels that you have credibility, that you're honest, you're authentic, it will move. The rider doesn't have to do much. But if that elephant refuses to trust you, no amount of coaxing from the rider is going to help it move. So, ladies and gentlemen, passion. Be passionate when you speak. Very powerful takeaway tip for all of you, along with that, of course, is pay attention to non-verbal signals in communication. And more importantly, tonal quality. Now, for me, being blind, non-verbal signals do not work. If you're going to show it in your face, I can't even see it. But I have, over the years, as a speaker, trained myself to be sensitive to understanding or instantly recognizing examples: irritation, frustration, impatience, joy, happiness, whatever it is that comes out in the tone of people's voices. I can sense that, okay, this is where this conversation is going to go, and we have to tweak it as I go along. So this is very, very important for all of us. What one shows speaks more powerfully than what one says. Is that clear so far, everybody? Absolutely? Good. Next, please, Raphael. Now you see another image. Please allow me to help you with your jacket, sir. Anybody could tell me what is a... Oh, sorry, we're talking about power? The partial power of hope. All right. Besides the passion that I recommended, that you all show on your face, I have also, over the years, understood that the use of certain words can be far more powerful if you select the right words in your communication. I've put together or synthesized or crystallized 4 sets for all of you. The first one here, and these, of course, will be the most commonly used ones in your own daily conversations. If you take this down and start to use it, you'll find that you're more effective as a speaker. The first one here being, of course, the use of hope versus sure. Examples. A weak example. I hope you will consider my proposal, sir, or manager. In my opinion, weak. You can change that to, I am sure you will consider my proposal, sir. Now, why is that the case? Because when you say, I am sure, as opposed to I hope, you are actually empowering your listener to feel that he or she, is capable of doing that for you. You have that faith in that person. So try this in your conversation communication next time. Don't use hope. Try. Not all the time, there are times when hope works better, but to the extent possible, if sure fits in better than hope, use it. It's far more effective. Yes, Raphael, next. The next set I have for you is power words. Now, this is think versus feel. I think that your idea might not work. Weak. Change that to, I feel your idea might not work. Can anybody in the audience quickly tell me, why is that so? Why is the use of the word feel in this example far more powerful than saying think? Anybody? You can shout it out. Yes, good. That's why it was connected to the first keyword, passion. You're right, sir. Anyone else? Brilliant, because it's your feeling and intuition. You're brilliant. So far, both are right. Anyone else would like to try? Why is think weak? Okay. Close, but I'm not sure quite what you were trying to get at there. Very true. So most of you are getting close to the answer. Very simply put, ladies and gentlemen, people can question your thinking. No one can question your feeling. Very important. Understand that. Because if I said, for example, I think this room is stifling hot right now. Obviously, some of you can stand up. Jai, that's crazy. Because the temperature is set at 19, 20, 22. It's optimal temperature. It's comfortable. How can you think that? Here's a digital display. If I said I feel it is hot, you can't question me for that. That is my feeling. You feel cold or comfortable. I feel hot. So use the word feel wherever you can replace think, and you'll be far more effective as a communicator. Make sense, guys? The next set of weak and powerful words that I've crystallized for you here is the use of opinion versus advice, recommendation, and suggestion. Sorry? Right. Are we there? Opinion as opposed to advice, recommendation, and suggestion. As in, for example, weak. What is your opinion on this matter? Weak. Why? Because there is going to be detachment between your listener and yourself. When you ask people for opinions, they take a step back to let you know what they feel. It almost becomes like a third-party perspective. But when you say, what is your advice? What is your suggestion? What is your recommendation on this matter? They take a step closer to you. When people give advice, it's almost like when you want to give advice, they do this. You know what? I have a recommendation for you. So you pull them into your world. It is far more powerful because when you say, what's your opinion? They go back, oh, my opinion? Oh, this is what it is. So try using these replacement words and you find it more powerful. And finally, the last word, which is one of my favorites, use the comparison between cannot and can. The next slide, yeah. There we go. Weak, for example. I cannot send you this document until my manager approves. The same meaning, try replacing that. I can send you this document with my manager's approval. Brilliant. Because if you do this, all you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to replace cannot until with can if. That's all. Very simple examples. You cannot enter this room unless the sergeant at arms allows you in. Weak. You can enter the room if the sergeant at arms allows you in. Strong. One more example. The next, please. I cannot accompany you to Sunway Pyramid on Friday. Yeah. I cannot accompany you to Sunway Pyramid on Friday. Again, cannot, right? Simply replace that with, hey, you know what? I can accompany you to Sunway Pyramid on all evenings except Friday. So how does this help? By just doing the little flip, you come across as a can-do, positive person who's optimistic and gung-ho about life, not a I cannot, no. So it works. I've used this in the last 10 odd years of my latest corporate tenure, and every time it has worked. Including with my manager, with my colleagues, especially with customers. I'll give you another example. This is not on the slide. No, sir, you cannot pay with MasterCard. Well, try. Sir, you can pay with all cards except MasterCard. Works. Brilliant. I can give you multiple examples. I mean, it works all the time. You come across as a positive person, right? Good. If that makes sense so far, we come to the second important keyword. The next slide, please, Raphael. And am I there, Sharm? Yes. Please, sir, allow me to help you with the jacket. Now, take a good look. Where do you see any disconnect between... Yes, please. Your name? Andrew. Brilliant. Let's have a big hand for Andrew. Because I see something in that jacket and I know what it is. Right? Which brings me to the second important keyword for all of us. Next, please, Raphael. Which is interest in what you pitch. Ladies and gentlemen, always keep the best interest of your listener in mind at all times. And believe me, you do this and your interest will be met. Always do that. And this is especially critical in business, in your client-customer communication relationships. Keep the best interest of your client in mind, of your customer in mind, of your spouse in mind. Yeah, your friend in mind, Toastmaster colleagues, and your interest is met. But if you're going to think of your own interest first, it might not work. It might fall flat or boomerang back at you. All right? Which brings me to the second important takeaway. Show that you are interested by making concessions. I'll explain that in a minute, okay? By making concessions and show that you agree, nod and agree. Well, what do I mean by make concessions, nod and agree? Take some time off in your talk to tell people, you know what? I understand what you've gone through. Or I know that traffic can be very bad in the KL area or around Mid-Valley. So if I ask you to meet me there, you must be stressed out. Now, when you make these concessions and you agree with something that the listener might want to tell you, it makes it easier for you to persuade them to do what you're going to ask next. Does that make sense, everybody? If I tell you, for example, I know it's tough, or I know you've been through this, or I feel that this is not an easy request for you because of these conditions. However, I was wondering if you could make one exception. It makes it easier for them. So agree, and you always do that with what is known as the Sullivans Nod. By the way, this is a very, very powerful technique which I share with you just now. It's named after the person who invented it, Sullivan. No points for guessing. And what it means by Sullivan's Nod, when you talk to people, nod your head 3 times during your conversation. Slightly at a 15-degree, not be very accurate, but at a 15-degree angle. So, yep, I see. I know. Oh, that might not have been easy. Or you've been through some tough times. And the person starts to get more and more get receptive to what you want to ask later, right? And finally, the third takeaway for all of you from interest is always understand what's in it for your listener. That means from their point of view or from their side, what's in it for them. So as they would be asking you, WIIFM. Now, I'm sure many of you in this room listen to music or tune in to the FM, radios in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Mix FM, Light FM, Hot FM, whatever it may be. Yeah, those are all your favorite FM channels, right? Your clients and customers' favorite channel is WIIFM. That's what any listener is going to be looking at or tuning into in their brains. Little tuning happening there. WIIFM. As you speak and you present and you're talking about the features of your product or your service or your process, they're going, all right, WIIFM. What's in? So keep that in mind, which always helps you keep the best interest of your listener in mind. Now, one powerful takeaway for all of you, and that is, say something that makes your listener feel better. Say something that makes your listener feel better. And of course, if you're selling a product or a service, which is what you guys may be, then make sure that whatever you sell makes their life better, not just feel better. Now, how do you do this? Very simple. Ladies and gentlemen, it's absolute delight meeting all of you on this platform today. In fact, I'm so glad you could make it into this room post-lunch. You didn't wander off somewhere for a little siesta or a snooze, something like that. Or, I thank you for your time. That's another example. Or it was absolute pleasure meeting you. I hope we meet again sometime. Or our paths will cross. Any such examples, say it as frequently as you can in your conversations. And the listener feels better, your audience feels better, the customer client feels better. And what happens is they may open up their hearts to you. Very important. So ladies and gentlemen, we have looked at passion and power, and we looked at interest. So far, you're with me? All right. Rafael, next, please. Have a look at that picture and look at what that cabin attendant is possibly saying. I heard you coughing frequently, sir. Here's some warm water for you to soothe your throat. Any answers? Disconnect between message and image. And while they're thinking, Sharm, Anita and Andrew so far. Yes, sir. Brilliant. Big hand for the gentleman. I'll get your name soon. Yeah, please. Your name, sir? So, that was Suki. Yeah, we met earlier. Yeah. So, Suki, brilliant. Because that brings me to my third takeaway keyword for all of you. Next, please, Rafael. And that is transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, be transformational, not transactional. That means transfer feelings and intuitions and emotions and experiences. Do not transfer data. Don't transfer, for example, statistics and numbers, facts and figures. Transfer feelings. Of course, like you saw that rider on the elephant, your reasoning and logic and facts and figures will be supportive. They will, of course, have to support your case. But you first transfer feelings. In that example, in that picture you saw, because that attendant said, I heard you cough frequently, sir. And she said, here's some warm water. I didn't ask for the water. So no money transaction should have happened there. It was not expected. That should have been purely transformational, not at all transactional. So that's a very important pointer for all of you. So as I said, be transformational. Do not be transactional. Yeah? And yes, try to appeal to people's sentiments and feelings. Oh, by the way, for all of you, as we summarize this a little bit, I'm going to narrate or relate a lot of small little stories from my own life that is going to tell you how these things have worked for me from my own experience. So just hang in there for a while, and we'll look at each of these keywords and give you some examples. So here's your power tip for this keyword, which is use the person's name often as you speak to the person. And when you do that, you find that you connect. It helps you in connections. Now, don't overdo it. I'm not suggesting you go, hey, Bob, it was very nice meeting you, Bob. I mean, the last time, Bob, we met, I believe, Bob, was 3 years ago. But this is absolute. I never, Bob, expected my path to cross with yours, Bob. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to our next meeting, Bob. No, that's a bit over. But yeah, using the name helps. And I've learned this, and I do it as often as possible, which is why many of you in this room who have been interacting with me and chatting with me always, the first thing I ask is, what's your name? Let me get your name. And of course, because I don't have a visual clue, I need the name, but it helps. And it works miracles when you use people's name. People have sometimes actually come up to you, as they did to me, and say, sir, you remembered? Of course I remembered, my good man. Last time I came to this restaurant, you took me to the table because you said that would be more comfortable there. How can I forget your name? Yeah, so it helps. So that's a good example. Also good so far? Yeah, we have looked at passion, power, interest, transformation. Let's go to the next slide. One of my favorites. Okay, hop on. Let's write together. Any answers? Yes, sir. Yeah? Between the two people? Oh, that's a tandem bicycle. That happens. The seats are separated. Yes, good answer. Who said that? Big hand for the gentleman, ladies and gentlemen. How do you spell your name? OOOOMMMMYYYGGOODD. Well, you kind of said that in a hurry, though. So, can you just take that down, Sharm? Yeah. Brilliant, sir. What do you hold on to? Ladies and gentlemen, Raphael, next slide, please. My keyword for you is collaboration. Not cooperation, collaboration. Ask for collaboration, be collaborative, not necessarily cooperative. So make sure you get your listener or give your listener something to hold on to, eliminate risk. Eliminate risk. And what do I mean by that? If I were to persuade you, for example, to scuba dive with me, let's all assume for the moment that I'm a very good scuba diver. All right? We'll assume that. And say, hey, you know what? I could take you to this brilliant place where the coral reefs are so magical. You could come scuba dive with me. I'm very good at it. I have license. The only issue is that we do have, for example, sharks that do come on, Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays. Don't worry too much. It doesn't happen all the time. Yeah. Now, obviously, no amount of my persuading you to come with me because I'm good at it is going to work because I've thrown in an element of risk. Don't do that. So give your listener something to hold on to. Don't give a, but this could happen, or here could be a risk that. Make sure that if that is there, it is taken care of. You have a contingency plan in mind, number one. Number two is think win-win, which means it's mutual benefit, and of course, it's going to be a common outcome which is favorable to both you and your listener. So think win-win. And rest, give and take. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all about reciprocity. Very powerful word. Reciprocity. Persuasion is reciprocity. You get something out of it, I get something out of it. So we give and take, and that's how we work together for a common goal or an outcome. For example, persuasion is not about getting someone to say yes because you held a gun to their head. That's coercion. That is, in fact, unidirectional. But getting someone to say yes to you because they've understood that there's benefit for both sides, and both of you are going to be favorable or happy at the end, that is, it's I'd say multidirectional. So it's two-way. It is reciprocal. It's not unidirectional. So that's a very important one for you. And power takeaway for all of you here is, as I would like to say, assume a positive close when you talk to people. Do not ask for permission. I'll give you examples. Don't worry. Hang in there. Example, you could go up to somebody and say, what would be a good time for me to see you for 5 minutes? Would it be 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. today? Example. Now, both may not work, in which case you discuss what is optimal. But either way, when you do this, the person you're talking to, most cases, would be tempted to say, 3 works for me. Or 5 would be better. But if you went and say, can I see you today? Very likely the answer would be, I'm very busy, man, some other time. Maybe tomorrow morning? Yeah. So assume that what you're asking for will happen. And then you ask, or just fit in that permission that you're asking. As in, I'm sure that it'd be great going out on Saturday evening. So what would work for you? Or maybe a Sunday works better. So assume that is happening and then say, can we go out? Making sense, everybody? Yeah, understand what I mean? Yeah, assume that what you want happen has happened. And then you ask for that permission. When you do that, very often, I'm not saying that every time, therefore, what you ask works, but I'm saying people will be receptive to you. They will be able to then look at you and say, okay, you've given me a choice here, an option here. This works. If you ask for permission, for example, if you look at the picture I just showed you earlier, the bicycle, I did not say, do you want to ride with me? I just said, hop along, let's ride together. Right? So you assume that will happen, and then you discuss that. Good? Next, please, Raphael. My last keyword for all of you here. Yes. Wow. Wrangler is a great brand, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, it happens to be one of my favorite jeans. I absolutely recommend this. Can somebody in this room tell me what you don't see is right? I'm sorry? Okay, but what is the disconnect? Oh, yeah. Someone shouted that at the back. Who's that? Oh, Lucky. Oh, take his name down too. Right. Yeah. Yes. If I am so powerfully recommending Wrangler for you, why am I wearing a Levi's t-shirt? Right? Because this means there was a little, yes, of course, some of you shouted the answer is dishonesty because there's no authenticity here. There's no credibility. Now, please note, I'm going to talk about this for a few minutes here. Yes, by that, I'm not suggesting that if your line of business is to sell Airbuses, then you must always have an Airbus yourself. No, that is not what I mean. If you're selling a BMW series car, that does not necessarily mean that you own one too. Okay? Of course, it helps if you do. If you're going to a customer to try and sell him the BMW 7 Series, you drive in a 7 Series, brilliant. But that's not always possible, right? However, wherever possible, see if what you say or your mouth speaks what your heart feels. Let me repeat that. Your mouth speaks what your heart feels. You are authentic. If I were to sell you a Rolex watch, for example, ladies and gentlemen, say, Rolex, timeless, priceless, one of the most wanted watches in the world. If you are anybody at all, this is the watch you want. And as I'm showing this to you, there's a big swatch on my wrist. You're not going to be entirely convinced with what I'm saying. The least I could do is for that one presentation, wear a Rolex, even if it was not mine. Right? Yeah. So that is the point I'm making here, ladies and gentlemen, because it comes to the last keyword here, which is honesty. And by that, by that I mean, of course, trust. Very important to establish trust with your speaker, with your listener, with your audience, with your customer, with your client, in business especially. Because that trust translates into authenticity. And of course, character, which is credibility. And humor does help, likability. If you can put all this together, you will find that people actually tend to believe you more than they would somebody else. right? Because you are speaking the truth, which is why if you look at that power tip, it says there, please, first, believe in the truth of what you are saying or don't say it. That's important. So I'm going to come to a few other things very, very shortly, but before that, I'll do a quick recap of the 5 keywords I had for you. And for each keyword, I'm going to narrate, or for most of them, narrate a little life story from my own life. Would you like to hear that? Yeah, so we have looked at what do you do when you make a pitch. And we've talked about passion, power, interest, transformation, collaboration, and honesty. Let me look at that passion and power. Ladies and gentlemen, in the year 2000, at age 38, I had to quit working as a designer in Japan due to my progressive vision loss. Around that time, I was almost termed legally blind. I was now unemployed and living in one of the most expensive countries in the world. So I decided for the first time to seek a career as a language instructor. And I applied for an open teaching position at a reputed, very renowned language center in Japan. However, my interviewer, upon seeing my passport, without even opening it, said, "An Indian citizen? You're automatically rejected, Mr. Narayan. We have never hired a non-native speaker of English at this institute. I'm so sorry." My heart sank. I thought for a while, looked at my interviewer straight in the eye, and said, "Well, sir, there is always a first time. Will you not make an exception just this once and give me a chance?" My interviewer thought for a moment and then asked, "Well, what do you bring to the table, Mr. Narayan?" I was silent for a while, looked at him, and said, "Sir, I bring passion, energy, excitement, enthusiasm, not to the table, but into your classrooms where your paying customers need it. Sir, you do not need my passion at this table. You need it in your classrooms." As I said this, the interviewer waited for a while and said, "I want you to transfer that passion, that enthusiasm, energy to all our customers starting tomorrow. You are hired." Yeah. I found out later, ladies and gentlemen, at that time, I was the only Asian faculty to be hired by that institute. I worked with them for 2 years before I went almost blind and had to return by compulsion to India. But that is an example of how passion works. How you feel in your heart what your mouth speaks before you say it. And in that little example I gave you, I also told you how there were some power words there. Example of the power words that came to my mind at that point: you don't need this at your table. You need this in your classrooms. Another example of how, from my own life, the choice of words worked miracles. When I was small, must have been, 10 years old, every morning, my younger brother, 8 years old, and I would hear the booming voice of my father go, "Boys, come on out, I need a little push." And upon hearing that call for action in the morning, my brother and I would high-five each other and run, yay, outside our home to the driveway where our father, a steel plant engineer, would be waiting in his hard hat and steel-toed safety shoes in front of his second-hand Fiat of the 70s, right? He used to call this his Old Faithful. It had served him well for many years, but now would not start in the morning, especially on winter mornings. So my father would sit in the driver's seat with the window rolled down and encouragingly shout, "Push, push, push." And my brother and I would muster all the might in our little bodies and give Old Faithful a mighty push until the slope at the gate, where would it jerk, the engine ignite, and my father would be on his way with a toot, thank you, on the horn. But so often, he would come back and tell us, you know what, boys? I always have a smile on my face on my drive to work because I know my day had started with a little push from my little boys. And ever since we heard this from my dad, my brother and I would always wake up, not to give the car a push, but to give our father a push in the morning. So his day goes on actively. All he did was say that, and it worked miracles, ladies and gentlemen. Just a little tweaking of how you address your communication can make things so much more effective. On a very lighter note, our neighbor at that time, Gupta ji, I think he was, often would tell my father, Mr. Narayan, every morning I keep hearing you shout, push, push, push. And looking out of the window, we'd see your car shake. I always wondered if your car was having a baby every morning. And my father would always respond, no, Gupta ji, too old for that. The car, not me. So a little bit of lighthearted humor and, of course, speaking what your heart feels does go a long way to help, ladies and gentlemen. So that was your passion and power there. Interest. Always keep the best interest, as I said, of your listener in mind at all times. An example from my own life. At the time that I was diagnosed with this condition in Japan, by the way, I still remember this. I was, I think, 35 years at that time, okay? And I was in hospital, and the eye specialist had just looked at all my test reports, all those elaborate tests with electrodes in my eyes and retina and everything, scotometry, retinogram, etc., etc. So the specialist looks at all my reports, and what she had to tell me brought all my future aspirations, dreams, hopes crashing down in one instant. Because what I remember her saying was, Mr. Narayan, it appears from your results that you have an incurable eye condition which will progressively get worse. You could go blind before you are 60 by these reports. I just stared at that specialist, shocked and stunned into silence for several seconds. But then she took my hand, patted me comfortingly and said, however, I want you to do something. I want you to close your eyes every day for 15 to 20 minutes when you're in a safe environment, even if you're at your own home, and get used to that sensation. Slowly but surely, Mr. Narayan, you will begin to adjust to your changing condition. Can you do that? I looked at the specialist and said, Doctor, I promise I will do it for you. And instantly the response came, no, you don't do it for me, you do it for yourself. And so from the next day onwards, I did exactly that, shutting my eyes for 15 to 20 minutes wherever I was safe, until slowly but surely, as I started to lose my sight, I started to gain my confidence. As my sight grew weaker, I grew stronger. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm narrating this nearly 25 years after that conversation with doctor. She said that to me because she kept my best interest in her mind, not what she gained from that. And that is exactly what I mean by keeping your listeners' interest in mind. Say something to them that makes their life better, that makes them feel better, and you will be successful. You will reap the benefits of doing this. Let's look at another example here, honesty. Again, a small little story from Japan. Anybody have been to Japan, by the way? Yeah, many have. All right, many have. You of course know that that's one country where you can trust a lot of people most of the time in the entire country. Yeah, you can, of course. Amazing, right? The way it works. So I was, when I was working there in Japan, in this city, Kobe, which is where I worked, I would take a bus from my house, home to the train station every morning and then hop onto the train and go to my place of work. One morning, on a rainy morning, I remember, I hopped onto the bus from my home to the station and discovered, to my discomfort, that I'd forgotten my wallet. So I went right up to the front where the driver was as the bus was moving. I said, in Japanese, I do speak Japanese, by the way, I'll say that in English now. And I said, I'm extremely sorry. It looks as if I have forgotten my wallet. Will you let me off at the next stop? I would like to go home. The driver looked at me and said, no worries. You can pay twice that fare on your return home this evening. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. That would be a different bus and a different driver, obviously. So I said, "It's all right." He said, "No worries. Oh, cool. Okay, have a good day." That evening, after work, it was pretty late. I returned back to the station, took a different bus. The first thing I did, I went up to the driver, that bus driver, and said, "Hey, this morning I forgot to pay the bus fare one way, so I need to drop in double the fare." He looked at me, "Oh, really? Thank you so much." Bowing. I bowed, he bowed. He bowed deeper, I bowed deeper. All this happened. But the point I make here, ladies and gentlemen, is not to tell you that, I was honest and all. No, but I had a reputation to actually uphold in a country like that, where honesty and trust was being taken for granted. The first thing I had to do was make sure that I did not upset the apple cart in that nation. And of course, that's true wherever you are. And, once you do that and you establish your credibility, you will find that you're able to actually have persuasive, effective communication with people. Because, as I said earlier in the first slide, the elephant starts to like you. People believe you. They know that you're speaking the truth. Okay? So, before I wrap up, and because we speak about honesty, I've done something interesting, as you'll see in the next slide. All right? And I've collated a list of 10 phrases that I keep hearing all the time in my years at work, which over the years I've realized don't mean that most of the time. In fact, these phrases I've realized or come to know mean the exact opposite most of the time. And I'd like to know from all of you if you're familiar with these. Have you heard this being told yourself? Do you use them yourself sometimes? Right? So let's look at some. So Sham, could you shout out a few and I'll talk about it? Don't worry. Oh, if you live in India and this is what you hear from a service provider, boy, you better start worrying. Oh, don't worry. And in my heart, I'm going in my mind, all right, really? What is it that could happen? The next one, Sham, there? No problem. Big problem. Very big problem. Can this be done by 3 p.m. tomorrow? No problem, sir. Just leave it here. 3 p.m. tomorrow, the office will be closed. In fact, it's closed for holidays. Right? The next one. I don't mean to intrude, or I don't mean to be rude, but. Ladies and gentlemen, that innocuous, innocent three-letter word, but, is the most powerful eraser in the English language. Everything that comes before but gets erased in one shot. I don't mean to be rude, but. So you are going to be rude then. Right? The next one, Sharm. I don't mean to interrupt. Oh, I hear this all the time. Hey, Joy, I don't mean to interrupt, but. Yeah. Oh, you are interrupting. So you may ask me, Jai, then what do we say? Because I'm putting this together for all of you to suggest that you try not to use it yourself, because they don't mean that. So what would you say? I would say something like, I know I'm interrupting. That works. I know I'm interrupting. Can I take 5 minutes of your time? I possibly am rude if I say this, but can I be really honest? I would say something like that. Next one, Sean. To tell you the truth, somebody will be talking to me for 15 odd minutes and suddenly go to tell you the truth. And then the remaining 14 minutes, 59 seconds, you are not speaking the truth. Why is it that all of a sudden of that, now you speak the truth? To tell you the truth, Oh, say it all the time, man. Yeah. Next one. Oh, these 6 words have no meaning in India. I will get back to you means I will never do this in eternity. Planetary positions don't matter. Stars in alignment don't matter. I will not get back to you. I'll get back to you. And I'm saying this because I have collated this from my own experience, and I have learned, and over the years, try to inculcate a habit of not using it. I usually, when I say to people, I get back to you, I get back. And usually what I say, I'll get back to you by, I give them a timeline. And of course, I put a trigger. Get back to XYZ. You said it. It came from your mouth. So respect your own words like that, right? Your next one. In my humble opinion. Oh my goodness, right now you're humble. Yeah, right? All this while, humility was not there. Suddenly, when you want to give an opinion, you're very humble. Yeah. In my opinion, just say it. Why my humble opinion? Yes, Sham? This will only take a minute. Come on, who are you kidding? This will only take a minute? Oh my goodness, it takes me 1 minute to put on my trouser belt, man. Come on. Yeah. So it'll take at least 5 minutes. Come on, so it'll only take a minute. Next one, John. Oh, this is my all-time favorite. This happens in India all the time. The person you are supposed to meet comes an hour late or an hour and a half late, and they'll say, you know what? I did not know traffic would go so bad on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Seriously? Yeah? What did you parachuted down from Mars yesterday? Of course you know traffic is going to be bad. You don't know what's going to happen. That elephant you saw could be on the road. Right? So next one, Sean. Oh, think about it. You know this. You heard it. I tried calling you, but your phone was busy. It was engaged. It was estranged. It was not available. I couldn't get through. I don't know. There was a storm. There was lightning. Oh, come on. Who you're kidding? My phone shows who called and who didn't. If you did call and couldn't get through, there's a missed call log there. So, these are examples, as I said, about honesty and about phrases we use in daily life. And over a period of time, if you can clean up your communication and not have these kinds of phrases slip in, and you will find you become a more powerful, effective, likable speaker and a communicator. All right? So, a quick recap, because I said in the beginning something about leadership, right? So, the next one, Sean. Yeah? Right? Sorry? That's it. Okay, so quick recap. Ladies and gentlemen, those 5 keywords, if you can just shout it out with me: passion, power, interest, transformation, collaboration, honesty. Incorporate this into your communication, and believe me, you will become a more effective speaker even outside of Toastmasters. And in these 5 keywords also happen to be leadership essentials. Why? Because end of the day, every great leader has passion for his or her vision and where he wants to take his or her people, is interested in the welfare of his people, seeks collaboration, is transformational, and is honest. So the same keywords can be applied to leadership. You've been a great audience. I thank you all. And as I say in India, namaste, terima kasih. God bless you all. For questions, if any, I'm happy to answer them. Yes, please. I need your name too.
Hi, sir. I'm Sky, and because me myself is still studying in Bachelor of Leaderships, so somehow throughout leadership, I understand leadership is influence.
Yeah.
After go through your speech about your talk about the 5
Yes.
attributes, what do you think about intentions compared to the 5 attributes?
I'm sorry, what do I think about?
Intentions. Intention.
Intention.
Yeah.
Your intent.
Yeah, your intention compared with the other 5 passion powers.
Okay.
And
Yeah. It kind of actually was answered in that slide earlier. I'll just I'll elaborate on that. What's your name again, sir?
Sky.
How do you spell it?
SKY.
Wow, what an amazing name. You are the limit, man. Sky. Wow, I can't get over this. Yeah. What do I think about intention? If your intention, to go back to what I said, is in the best interest, let me repeat that. If your intention is in the best interest of your listener or your follower as a leader, and I think your purpose is met. What do I mean by that? Your intention is not to benefit yourself. It should not be to be win-lose. Neither should it also be win-lose. Or neither lose-lose. It is win-win. So if your intention is to keeping that in mind, I think you as a leader, you'll be somebody I would be very happy to follow. And just go very briefly back to other thing you said about influence. You just said it's also about influence. Very true. I would like to expand on that as to say it's all about impact, influence, and inspiration. It's the 3 I's of leadership, not iPhone, iPod, iPad. Right? Did I answer your question, Sky? Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, see. Yes, please. Yep. Oh, I can. Oh. Okay. Very interesting. That's a laundry list of names, if you asked me which leader inspires, because I could just rattle off the names of so many leaders around the world who do inspire me in so many different ways. By the way, who's talking to me now?
My name is Sharada.
Sharada. Okay, Sharada, yeah. So Sharada, there are so many examples I can give, all the way from Mahatma Gandhi to Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, and Winston Churchill, down to even the 21st century, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, and the list is endless. I mean, I don't really, I can't condense it to one or two names. But, and more closer to my heart, my inspiration and a leader I looked up to a lot was my father. The reason I say that is those of you who may be aware that I actually have a book outside, which I'm selling at the stall there, and there's a dedication to my father in that book. And I just spoke about him, and I spoke about he asking us to push him, his car, right? And why did I think my father was a great role model for us, Sharada? Because before I came to even understand the names of all those leaders I just mentioned, he was there around us when I was a kid. I was growing up and watching him. And he was one man who was exemplary in demonstrating discipline, decorum, and dedication in whatever he did. And I think any leader, if you have discipline, decorum, and diligence and in what you do, is a great leader. So there are multiple names of people I can come up with. My dad was my leader, a great leader. I think he inspired me. Yeah, thank you. Any final question?
Yeah, one more question.
Yeah.
Testing. Hi. My name is Bonus.
Okay.
Just to add on towards what you said about intention, I believe like leaders as well, in return, you have to assume positive intent.
Yes.
If not, it will draw you down when you are dealing with another and assume that they have a bad intent.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's just an add-on for that.
Very good. Can I get your name again, sir? Your spelling?
Bonus, B-O-N-U-S.
My goodness, we got amazing people here. We got the Sky, we have Bonus. Wow, I'm inspired. Oh, I got the entire climate change happening in this room here. Yes, thank you for sharing, Bonus. I totally agree with what you just said. I couldn't agree more. Yes, anyone else? Are we doing good for time? Yeah, okay, cool. I just want to share on a lighter note something I read somewhere where they said a Toastmaster had this written on his tombstone. The red light came on. On that note, you've been a great audience, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Jai. And Lucky, could you come forward, please?
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce my wife, my mentor, and of course, yes, she's my guide. Really? Ladies and gentlemen, the one on my left. Yeah, Sham Shiva. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Oh, there's a picture?
Yes.
There's a picture?
Let's take a picture.
Yeah. Smile. Yeah. I know we have dentists in this room, so hey.
All the smiles. All right.
Thank you very much.